Welcome to the Missionary Tag Podcast. I'm your host, Ana Taranaki, and I'm here with two sister missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I will attempt to say their names, Sister Navarro and Sister Itsvanffy. But I'll get them to introduce themselves before we get going. But thank you so much, sisters, for joining us on the podcast today. I'll hand it over to you just to introduce yourself. Maybe Sister Navarro, if you would like to start.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Sister Navarro. I'm from Utah. There are 5 kids in my family, and I've been a member of the church my whole life.
My name is Sister Itsvanffy. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I've been a member my whole life, and I have 3 siblings, and I'm the second oldest. So 4 of us in total.
Yeah, nice. Thank you so much, sisters. And are you the first to serve within your family, or have you had other siblings serve as well?
My mom served a mission in Spain, and then my older sister, she just got home last week from her mission in Mexico. And then my younger brother just got his call to Argentina last week as well.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So my parents both served a mission. They both served in the U.S. And then I'm the first of my siblings to serve.
Yeah. Where in the U.S. did your parents serve?
My mom served in Iowa, and my dad served in Louisiana.
Okay, cool. Just a little intro about yourselves. I know that there's more that we can share, but for the sake of the podcast time, we'll keep it there. So thank you so much. I guess just to get straight into it, what we'll kind of talk about today is just your reasons for serving a mission, especially just like the experiences that you would like to share with our audience. And just speaking of our audience, if you were to think about them right now, like who do you think you would be talking to today? Or who do you want to reach today? Or who do you hope to reach today?
I think for the audience-wise, I'd love to reach anybody who wants to grow their faith in Jesus Christ, and anybody who just feels like they need a place with Jesus Christ, because I know that there is one for everybody, and I know that looks so different in everybody's life as well. And so just finding that place for them with Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to reach anybody who's been a member of the church for a long time, and it just feels kind of stuck where they are, just to help them be able to feel more encouragement and feel love from their Saviour Jesus Christ.
Yeah, nice. Thank you so much, sisters. And I guess that can lead us to our first question, and why we're kind of gathering today is just learning a little bit more about your journey and why you came to serve a mission. And so just pondering on that and thinking about that, why did you want to serve a mission? Either one of you can go first.
Well, for me, I think just growing up in the church, hearing returned missionaries' testimonies and hearing about their experiences, I always wanted to serve a mission, but I always thought that the goal was to get home in the end. They were like, oh, the mission was great. I thought that the mission was great, but the goal was just to get home and to check it off the box.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize how great of an experience it would be to be living on the mission and to actually be in the present.
Yeah. And when did you realize that?
I realized that while on my mission.
Yep.
Yeah, probably maybe 3 months in.
Yeah. And how did that kind of change your mission experience or mission expectations?
Yeah, it definitely brought me a lot more joy and a lot more encouragement. I feel like I found happiness here on the mission, and I didn't want to give that up for anything.
Yeah.
And I longed that, this is not just something to check off the box. It's me changing. This is precious time, not time to be wished away.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I second and testify that as well. And so before your mission, what led you to put your papers in and start that process?
So I actually wanted to serve a mission for a long time, but I always felt stopped. I always felt like I shouldn't. I was very on the fence about it. And I think I would always take a few steps forward to like go on a mission, but then I just got stopped. And so then I just like fell back again. And I just constantly prayed, constantly thought about it. But one day when I was at work, I was just thinking about a mission, thinking about if it was something I needed to do. And I got a feeling, and I couldn't deny that I needed to go and serve, and that I was called, and that, you know, my time came. And I had two thoughts running through my head, and it was that I needed to serve and I needed to do whatever it took to serve.
Yeah.
And I knew it, and I knew God knew it, and I couldn't deny it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you, but I'll let the other sister, Sister Navarro, share her experience too. So what led you to come on a mission?
Yeah. I think it's so funny how we get this question a lot as missionaries, and we also just recently like answered it on our own Facebook posts, and I still like just have so many different things and different thoughts about it every time I get asked. But I think for me, I'm really grateful that for the journey that's helped me to get to be on a mission. I think growing up in the church, I always kind of had that desire. I kind of was like, oh yeah, I want to go on a mission. My mom talked about it too, and how much she always loved serving a mission, sharing her testimony. And my dad is not an active member of the church, and so I think that's been such a blessing in my life as well, to see how that it was always a choice for me. I feel like it was always something that I got to choose to do, and I was never like pushed into the gospel. And I think that really helped me to love it for myself, and just to have that like Jesus glow from a young age, because I realized that this is something that was my thing too, and I could love this just as much as my mom or my family members did. I think one experience that comes to mind as I think back of all the things that led up to coming on a mission, I think I was in about like 6th grade, year 6, and I was young. I went to a party with some of my friends, and it was just like a kid party. We were just hanging out. But I remember some of the kids that were there, they were talking badly about one of my friends who wasn't at the party. And I was just kind of sitting there, and I was like just kind of unsure what to do. And I was like, man, I don't feel good. And I feel like I noticed at that moment that was something that I didn't feel good to be a part of. It's like, I don't know, like the sin. And I remember coming home from that, and I just kind of felt a little bit of a weight on my shoulders. And I was like, what should I have done? Should I have stood up for them? Should I have like said something? And just kind of that unsurety. And I remember I just prayed about it. And I prayed about it, and I just felt like a weight lift. And I was like, whoa. From a young age, I was just like, wow, this is something I love. And I was able to feel that lift of just bringing things to God, even if I wasn't entirely sure like what to do about it in the situation or what was the right choice, but just to come and talk to God about it and be like, this didn't feel good. I want to talk kind about people. I want to make that starting now today. I only want to say kind things about people because I like the way it makes me feel. And I think just having that guide me, that feeling of the Holy Ghost from that young age, just guide me throughout my life. And I think being here on a mission, being able to share that feeling with other people has been just the greatest blessing, to be able to see people that we talk to and that we teach about Jesus, and to be able to feel that same spirit that I felt all those years ago, and to be able to feel them feel it for the first time, or to be able to recognize it for the first time. It's just, I feel so privileged to be able to do that. And the sacrifice of serving a mission just kind of like goes away, and I just realized like, wow, I'm so blessed to be here serving a mission. Like, this is the best thing I could be doing. And so I think all those things have just, the little things in my life have just really added up to being so blessed by the Spirit of God, and being able to help people recognize that like I did in my life.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting too. Like, a good point to share is like, you're sharing your testimonies and you're helping others go through a process that you also went through. And with 6th grade, like, how old is that? Because I don't really know.
I think I was 12 or 11 or 12 at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I heard you say Jesus glow. Can you just tell us where that came from?
Yes, I think I've heard that phrase. There's a song that I heard recently that talks about that, but just like the light of Jesus Christ. And it talks about that in the scriptures and things as well. And I definitely can feel when I am doing what's right and when I'm following Jesus Christ to the best that I can. I feel that glow. I feel that light with me versus when I maybe am just doing the bare minimum or not doing what I could be doing.
Mm.
And it just feels like power and like happiness.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Like, yeah, I love everything that you both shared. And I guess that kind of leads me to when you got your call, and that feeling, the feeling around that and the experience you had in terms of opening your call. Because I am from the time where we had a letter mailed to us and we had to read a piece of paper, but now it's email. You can get your call on email. So yeah, do you guys want to just talk us through how you felt and what that experience was like? Sister Itsvanffy? I'll get it by the end, I hope.
Yes. Yeah, so I remember I checked my email at work and I saw that I got an email and I got my call. And so I went home and I opened it with my parents and my little sister. And I was so surprised when I saw New Zealand. That was a huge surprise because I thought I was going to stay close to home. I really thought I was going to stay in Canada or go to the US. I had very low expectations. I didn't really think that I'd be capable of going across to the other side of the world. And so I thought I was going to stay close to home. But I definitely feel so blessed that I got called to New Zealand because not only is serving a mission such a great experience, but being able to experience a different side is so cool and so special. And I always say that I feel like I won the lottery because I can't imagine a better place I could have gotten called. And I know that God knew that this is where I needed to be.
Yeah. Was there like a specific moment or experience that you had that led you to know that this is the place where God wanted you to be? It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay if not.
Yeah.
I was just like, just the flow.
Yeah.
I'm actually like, there's so many questions in my head right now because I'm like super curious.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, we only have so much time. But
Yeah.
no, that's all good. Yeah. And and for you, Sister Navarro, what was it like?
Yeah. I remember the day I got my call as well. I was sitting in like a university meeting and I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, I got it. I was awaiting this I think I waited for about a month. So it was like a few weeks of just suspense. And I got it. And then my family lived about 2 hour drive from me. And so I waited a week for them to come down and I opened it with my family and my friends. And that week was crazy. I had dreams every night about all these places that I was like, oh, where am I going to go? But I don't think I'll ever forget the feeling of when I read it. And I wrote it in my journal and it just comes out. I was just like, it was like my heart dropped in just like the best way. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it just felt like a place that it was like home, but I'd never been there. And I was so excited. And I think similar to what Sister Itsvanffy was saying, that God knows exactly where he needs missionaries and where they're called. And I feel like I felt that perspective. And I was like, I don't know much about New Zealand at all, but I knew that it was just a place that I would grow to love so much and the people that I would grow to love so much. And so, yeah, I think that feeling just was so hopeful and so happy. And just being surrounded by people who were excited about this as well, excited about not necessarily the place, but about the act of sharing the gospel, and being able to tell people about this great news.
Yeah, because you're both, should have started with this, because you're both in the New Zealand Hamilton mission. And so that would have been what was written on your call letter. And for your area, can you just tell our audience like where in New Zealand that covers? So it covers...
It covers to Redoubt Road in Auckland, so all South Auckland, and then all the way down to Aotearoa.
Aotearoa. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is like, here's the halfway point of the North Island, and it's like a little bit further down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, cool. And have you only, like how many areas have you guys served in within the Hamilton mission?
This is my 4th area in the Hamilton mission. So I started in Hamilton, and then I moved to Huntley, and now I'm here in Papakura.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is my 6th area. So I started out in Tauranga, and I was in the Mount Maunganui ward, and then the Gearton ward, and then I moved to Hamilton, and I was in Claudelands, and then Hamilton East, and then up to South Auckland, and I served in Mount Ford, Manarewa, and then now here in Rose Hill, Papakura.
Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a variety of areas you guys have both served in. And when you kind of got off the plane, what was going through your mind?
I think what went off my mind, which this is so random, but I walked out and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in a new country. I was so excited. And the airport bathrooms were just like the fanciest bathroom I've ever seen. I was like, wow, New Zealand is so cool. And that was my first thought. I was like, wow, all of New Zealand, these are what all the bathrooms look like. But then it's not like that.
No.
But that was just my first impression. And then I think walking out to the road and seeing the other side of the road, that tripped me up, like cars driving. I was so worried about like collisions all the time.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think stepping off the plane, I was so scared. I remember walking through the airport tired and just scared. And like I kind of wanted to turn around and just head back home. But yeah, I got past that in the MTC and in the field. But at first I wanted to turn back home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really fly overseas or anything, just stayed in the same country, but definitely going to the South Island felt like a new country for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you guys came from your country to this new country, I know in previous episodes, they've talked a lot about the Missionary Training Center, so the MTC, but I think we haven't really talked about what happens after you leave the MTC, like where do you go? Because I know for me, we went to the mission home, and what was that like for you guys to leave the MTC and know that you were going to a mission home before you go to your areas?
Yeah, so we left the MTC in Auckland and then drove down to Hamilton and then met with our mission president for the first time. And it was cool because he he did some research about us before. And so he asked me about something that I struggled with, and, you know, he was able to relate with me about it, and
Yeah.
it's cool.
yeah. I think for me, that adjustment from leaving the MTC into the field was probably one of the hardest adjustments of my mission. I had a really good time in the MTC. I feel like I was on this spiritual cloud like the whole time. I was like, oh, we get fed, we get all these things. There's all this like spirit, all these missionaries, and it was so good, and it was an amazing start. And I think getting to my first flat, being with just one missionary instead of surrounded by missionaries, and being there and being like, wow, okay, we're here. I think that hit me really hard. And it was a big struggle to learn how to adjust to just living life, that this was going to be the next 18 months of my life, and away from family, friends. It was just all really real. But I think in those weeks, that first transfer into the field as well was such a learning, and looking back, such a joyful time now because of all the ways that God really stretched me so much and grew me to be able to be someone who can handle this now and who can be here and find joy in the hard moments as well. And so, yeah, I think just I find a lot of peace now in those times where I struggled. I wanted to go home. I was like, this isn't right. Everything kind of fell off. But looking back, I'm like, wow, that was exactly what I needed from God.
Yeah, and it's funny how you only realize it when you look back. So it's like after a couple of months or days, or sometimes years, that you realize like, oh, that was actually part of what was meant to happen for me and in my personal growth journey. And did you guys feel homesick at any point at all? Like, I know you mentioned that you wanted to turn back, you wanted to get back on the plane, but like, was there a certain point where you kind of felt homesick?
I'd say just at the beginning,
Yeah.
adjusting to the MTC and adjusting to the mission field, that's when I felt homesick. But once I got past that, I just found so much joy here in the mission fields, and just knowing that this is where I need to be, knowing that I was called to serve here at this time. I try this even to today, that to enjoy every moment, not wish anything away, just live in the present.
Yeah. Nice. You, Sister Navarro?
Yeah. I think it definitely hit me a lot when I got to the field, the homesickness. And I was struggling a lot. I was so unsure if I was going to stay. And I remember those first few weeks, everything just kind of felt so chaotic. One experience I remember so vividly, my companion, we had just gotten home for our lunch break, and my companion went to like take a quick nap. And I was just sitting in like the living room, and I was like, wow, like this is hard. And I was just like, what am I going to do? And I looked down at my phone, and I got an email from one of my friends from home who, it was a message, and it just said like, Skady never gives up. That was my nickname back home. And I was in tears. I was like, wow, this is what I need to hear. And it was an audio message, and it was him talking about his mission that he had just recently, well, he was still out, but at the beginning of his mission. And it was him talking about all of the hard times, how much he wanted to go home as well. And that gave me a lot of peace to know that I wasn't alone in this struggle, and that there were missionaries all over the world and people all over the world who were struggling with that homesickness and that feeling. And I think that support from home and from the missionaries around in the Hamilton mission as well really gave me the strength that I needed to realize that we're never alone. And that God sends people that we need, and at times we need them to be able to help us endure our challenges and our trials.
Yeah, nice. I like that. It sounds like the core part of how you overcame homesickness was just really relying on God and knowing that you were here for a purpose and that there was a reason why we were here at this time. Yeah, but it's not an easy feeling to shake off at times. I remember when I would never get homesick. Like as a kid, I would just leave my parents. My parents would drop me off, and they're like, "Do you want to come home?" I was like, "No, I'm fine. Like I'm okay." I wanted to travel, wanted to do all these things. The only time I ever got homesick, like in my whole entire life, was when I went on a mission. Because for us at that time, I knew it wouldn't be an everyday chat with them, and I knew that I wouldn't have my family there all the time. But yeah, that was, and I think I kind of just went through it silently, and I wish I had just kind of talked about it openly with people. But it's nice to hear that, yeah, it's something that everyone will experience, especially in the beginning of their missions, probably the most common part. And maybe towards the end, I don't know. But yeah, no, thank you so much. And I think just some reflective questions. What's been the best thing you've enjoyed on your mission so far? I know there's heaps, like,
So many.
because, yeah, I don't even know why I asked the question because there's so many things, but I guess just the first thing that pops to mind.
I think for me, one of the greatest things that I've witnessed, and it talks about this somewhere, but in a book, a church thing, it talks about how we get to be firsthand witnesses of the atonement of Jesus Christ working in people's lives. And I think that has been just the greatest joy for me. I've had experiences where I've been so tired and I've been like, I can't do another day. And then we go and we meet somebody, or we go into someone's house and we teach them about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I just feel like that hole is just like so filled. And I'm like, wow, this is something so much greater than homesickness or so much greater than tiredness or exhaustion, but that we get to tell people about an eternity with their families and with their Father in heaven, and just being able to teach them things that they may have been searching for their whole lives and they didn't even know. And I think just seeing that work in people as well, to see from the first day they met the missionaries until the day, like continuing on their covenant path, and just to see the light that is like filling them. And it's just something that is worth everything worth way more than everything I've given up to be here.
Yeah, it's like a greater purpose,
Yeah.
which is the most important purpose.
Yeah. I'd say for me, probably coming to know my Savior Jesus Christ has been the best part, because I knew that we had God. I knew that he loved us. I knew that he was our Father in heaven. But my Savior Jesus Christ, I've really been able to find strength from, and I've been able to rely on. And, as I've made many mistakes throughout my mission, and I've had nowhere else to turn but him, I've definitely, felt his presence and felt him near. And I know that Jesus Christ lives and that he loves us. And I know that he's experienced every pain and every suffering that we can ever imagine. And it's so that we can find healing. And I'm so grateful for him. And so I'd say that's the best part, is being his representative and being able to come to know him more.
Yeah, I really love that. And something I just feel to share that might sound random as well. It's like, it's funny because as a parent and as a mother, this is exactly what I'm trying to do for my kids. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. And it's funny how Heavenly Father creates these life experiences that we go through, but it's all for this greater purpose, for the plan of salvation. And I know, those of you are members of the church who have heard of this before, you understand where I'm coming from. But just lately, I've been really thinking about the plan of salvation and how grateful I am to know that there is this plan and we're only at the one little part of it, one little part of it. But I think the things that you're learning and the things that you're doing, it's going to serve you well for the rest of your life, whether it's nieces or your own children or other people's children in your ward. That's kind of what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And I only speak from my own experience and not really realizing how much the mission or how much the gospel is so important in all of our lives. And I like what you said, Sister Itsvanffy. Like, this time is not something to be wished away. And so it doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it's, just being present. And yeah, I really like that message. And just from you, Sister Navarro, I just really feel like, you're just that Jesus glow. It's like coming out. So yeah, I just love that you guys are sharing your experiences in this way. And I guess just any final thoughts, and then I'll ask you the one last question that I love to ask.
I think one thought that was just kind of going off of what you said about the plan of salvation, about like teaching our families and our children and things. I think that's something that I've been extra aware of on my mission, is how grateful I am to have had this from a young age and how important it is to share it with the youth of the world, of the church. So many times I'll be struggling and a primary hymn will come to mind that'll remind me that, like, Heavenly Father hears our prayers and that he loves the children. And it just fills me with this peace that I love so much. And I think it's just something that I forgot I had in my head, that I forgot that I'd learned all these years ago, but that has been so, like, insurmountably amazing as I've been doing these things, like just the daily things, how much that knowledge that I learned helped me, and how much I want to share it with my children and my family members and the youth of the church and of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I've definitely had many hard experiences on my mission, but I've definitely seen Jesus Christ find me. And I definitely feel like I've been able to feel his presence. And, in the moment it was hard, but looking back, it's clear to see that it was part of God's plan for me. Mm. And there's a verse that I constantly think about and I constantly turn to. It's Alma 26:17. And it says, "Who could have supposed that our God would have been so merciful as to snatch us from our awful, sinful, and polluted state?" And, who would have thought that God was so loving and so merciful as to send his Son to save each of us and to snatch us from where we are. And I've definitely seen his plan. And I know that nothing is a coincidence, and it's all a part of his plan for us. And I feel so blessed and so lucky that I've been able to recognize that. And I'm thankful for the hard times I've gone through, because it's turned me to who I am today. And I've definitely learned so much from those experiences.
Yep. Everything shapes you. And and I guess my last question is, what advice would you give your younger self, whether it's pre-mission or just even beyond that?
I think that's such a great question. I think one of my greatest testimonies of the gospel of Jesus Christ is about the purpose that is in pain and in hard times. And I think to my younger self, or myself starting the mission, especially when I was thinking all those days where I wanted to go home so bad, I feel like I could hear myself now, or like my future self being like, wait, just stay one more day, you can do it. Like, one more lesson, and just all these little things. And for a time, I was like, just so much of me was like, why? Like, it's so hard. I don't know if it'll be worth it. But I think it is worth it. One of my favorite quotes from Neil A. Maxwell, it says that the cavity which suffering carves into our souls will one day also be the cavity for joy. I just love that so much. It reminds me that our pain and our struggles are not just something that we have to put our heads down and just trudge through and get to the end of it, but that we can be grateful, we can be joyful while we're struggling, and that in the midst of these hard times is the times that our cavity for joy is just being dug every day, and it's just getting deeper with every hard time that we face. And so I think for my younger self in those hard times, I would just say, like, keep going, it gets better. There's hope ahead. And the best days are yet to come. And I've definitely seen that and been so grateful for that, even though it's hard at times, that I've gotten to a place where I know I couldn't be without Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Thank you, sister.
There's a few things I'd love to tell my younger self, but one thing is just to, waiting is not wasting time. God is always preparing us, prepping us for what we're going to face. And so it's never bad to wait. And, we become more like Jesus Christ when we wait and when we're patient. But also, there's a quote from President Holland where he says, "Some blessings come soon, some come late, some don't come till heaven, but those that embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ, they come." And so I know that, the gospel of Jesus Christ is such a blessing. And I've definitely seen it on my mission. And I definitely feel like I can recognize it, and I could recognize it more here on my mission. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the gospel and for what it does.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sisters. I really appreciate you sharing your experiences and your insights, and especially your testimony of Jesus Christ and his gospel. And just want to say to our audience, I invite you to invite the missionaries to your home, whether you're a current member, an inactive member, or a non-member. They are willing to come and visit you and be your friend, and also share anything that would help you in your journey. And I know that they always bring the Spirit into our home. So thank you so much, sisters.
This is the Missionary Tag Podcast. Faith in Jesus, we talk that.